Jennifer Hudson has faced more heartbreak and personal tragedy than most people could ever imagine. Her journey through life has been marked by moments that didn't just wound her, they reshaped her entire perspective on love, trust, and resilience. Even after she endured unimaginable grief, the public assumed she would eventually find peace and stability, someone she could lean on emotionally. That hope seemed real when Common entered her life. Unlike others, he was articulate, spiritual, and attentive, the kind of partner who spoke about growth, healing, and long-term commitment. He made her believe, even if only temporarily, that love could be safe again. Yet, as often happens, words, even the sweetest ones, can be deceptive. People who appear to understand our hearts can sometimes inflict the deepest pain. Beneath the red carpet smiles and public appearances, cracks began to form, revealing a story of heartbreak, emotional distance, and the careful boundaries Jennifer had to establish to protect herself. Her decision to walk away was not a failure. It was a demonstration of survival, wisdom, and the ability to prioritize her own well-being over the illusion of perfect love. This story is far more than a celebrity breakup. It is a testament to endurance, self-respect, and the courage required to choose oneself over a relationship that no longer serves you. Before the headlines and public scrutiny, Jennifer was already a survivor. To the outside world, she is a powerhouse, a Grammy-winning singer, an Oscar-winning actress, a talk show host, and an icon whose influence spans across entertainment and culture. But behind the glamour and accolades, her life had been marred by unimaginable loss. In 2008, she suffered a devastating blow when her mother, brother, and 7-year-old nephew were murdered in a violent tragedy that left her entire world in shambles. The grief was immense, so profound that most would have been silenced forever. But Jennifer did not vanish. She faced her sorrow head-on, using music and acting as tools of expression, slowly rebuilding herself from the ruins of her personal life. Later, she entered a relationship with David Otunga, which initially appeared stable and promising. They were engaged, shared a child, and for a time, it seemed as though she had finally discovered the calm and consistency she had long yearned for. However, the reality behind the scenes was far from the idyllic image portrayed publicly. Jennifer later accused Otunga of emotional manipulation, jealousy, and control, even filing for a protective order citing fears for her and her son's safety. The public witnessed the headlines, but only she truly experienced the trauma. Yet, despite the pain, she continued to work, perform, and live fully, demonstrating resilience that has become a defining feature of her life. When she later met Common on the set of Breathe, fans felt a renewed sense of hope for her. For once, it didn't appear to be a fleeting or messy rebound. She seemed to have chosen love on her own terms. Unlike past relationships, her connection with Common exuded subtlety and quiet intimacy. Their smiles, glances, and conversations suggested a relationship rooted in trust and mutual respect, where Jennifer could finally exhale without fear of being manipulated or hurt. Common himself has always been considered a dream partner by many: thoughtful, spiritual, articulate, and reflective. Yet, history revealed a pattern in his past relationships with other prominent women, including Serena Williams, Taraji P. Henson, and Tiffany Haddish. These relationships, which often began with promise, eventually ended quietly, leaving questions unanswered. In a rare candid admission, Common acknowledged that he struggles with what is sometimes called love addiction, not physical desire, but the thrill and passion of the early stages of a relationship. Once the initial excitement fades, he tends to withdraw. Jennifer, a woman who had endured so much grief, was acutely aware of the potential for heartbreak. Her hope that she could be an exception, that she could be the woman who helped him break the pattern, reflected her optimism and desire for love. Their time together was filled with moments of quiet joy, private dinners, thoughtful conversations, and shared public appearances that reflected a genuine connection rather than spectacle. Common often spoke of her as a blessing, describing her as someone who challenged him to grow and inspired him to become better. For Jennifer, this was more than flattery. It was a rare sense of safety she had not felt in previous relationships. However, even the safest-looking love stories can unravel silently. Over time, subtle changes became noticeable: the distance in interactions, fewer public appearances together, and whispers of Common's emotional withdrawal. Rumors surfaced, suggesting flirtations outside the relationship, while insiders described small but telling remarks that hinted at detachment. Though nothing dramatic or public occurred initially, these subtle shifts were enough to signal that the dynamic of their relationship was changing. The turning point reportedly came when Common allegedly planned to propose, only for Jennifer to decline. Her refusal was not dramatic, it was quiet, firm, and thoughtful. She was not rejecting love itself, she was protecting her hard-earned peace. Given her history of trauma and betrayal, her hesitation reflected deep self-awareness and the wisdom that comes from surviving intense personal loss. The choice to pause, reflect, and prioritize her emotional safety over societal expectations or romantic pressure was a hallmark of her strength. Their relationship ended quietly, with no public announcement, social media drama, or tell-all interview. In an industry that often exploits personal heartbreak for headlines, Jennifer's silence was deliberate. It was not a sign of weakness, but of dignity. After enduring loss and hardship that few could comprehend, she chose to preserve her peace rather than justify her actions to the world. Common's silence mirrored hers, leaving observers to speculate about the reasons behind their quiet separation. Ultimately, the story of Jennifer Hudson and Common is a narrative about survival, self-respect, and emotional intelligence. It underscores the reality that sometimes even when two people want love, and try earnestly to nurture it, relationships fail, not because of a lack of effort or desire, but because timing, emotional readiness, and compatibility do not align. Jennifer's decision to step away, quietly and deliberately, demonstrates that strength is not only about enduring hardship, it is about knowing when to protect oneself from potential harm. After the initial spark and hopeful beginnings, the dynamics between Jennifer Hudson and Common began to shift, almost imperceptibly at first. Their public appearances became less frequent, and the private warmth that fans had glimpsed through interviews and paparazzi snapshots began to fade. The laughter, the playful gestures, the subtle exchanges that had made people believe this was a mature, balanced love, all of it started to waver. No dramatic fight occurred in public, no scandal erupted on social media, yet the distance was noticeable to those who were paying attention. Relationships are often tested not by dramatic incidents, but by the quiet moments when trust and patience are required. In this case, the silent erosion of connection marked the beginning of the end. Even a woman as resilient as Jennifer, however, did not act impulsively. Her hesitation was rooted in experience and self-preservation. She had already survived the unthinkable, the violent loss of her mother, brother, and nephew, and the emotional abuse she faced in her previous relationship. Each chapter of her life had taught her the importance of boundaries, emotional vigilance, and listening to the quiet instincts of her heart. Rejecting a proposal, pausing her emotional investment, or allowing distance to grow was not rejection of love itself, but a deliberate act of self-respect. It was the knowledge that love, no matter how intoxicating, could never replace the need for personal safety, stability, and dignity. For Common, the story was more complicated. To the outside world, he appeared charming, grounded, and spiritually aware, a man who meditated, attended therapy, and publicly championed empowerment for women. Yet his history revealed a recurring pattern: early passion followed by emotional withdrawal. As he experienced the thrill of initial connection, the intensity of the chase, and the admiration of a partner, he felt alive. But as the relationship matured and required patience, depth, and consistency, he struggled to remain present. The phenomenon he admitted to, a form of love addiction, meant that the relationships he entered were often most exciting in their beginnings, and most fragile as they settled into daily reality. Jennifer, perceptive and cautious, likely recognized these warning signs before the world did. She understood the subtle tension between charm and commitment, words and action, passion and stability. Her silence during this period was a reflection of her deep self-awareness. She did not need to make public statements, justify her decisions, or defend herself against speculation. Instead, she allowed the natural progression of events to dictate the outcome. She was no longer a woman who could afford to compromise her peace for the sake of a relationship, no matter how promising it appeared at first. The couple's relationship had, at one point, seemed almost ideal to outsiders. Unlike the whirlwind romances Common had previously been involved in, this connection appeared grounded. It was a partnership between two mature, emotionally intelligent adults who had both faced adversity and public scrutiny. Friends and insiders noted that Jennifer seemed lighter, more at ease, and genuinely happy, evidence that, at least initially, the relationship brought her some measure of emotional relief. The world watched, hoping that this time, the story would end differently, but in love, appearances can be deceiving. Even the smallest disconnects, the unspoken tensions, or the subtle inconsistencies between words and actions can become defining fractures. Sources close to Jennifer later revealed that Common had occasionally made comments that, while seemingly benign, created emotional distance. Remarks such as "she's intense sometimes" or "I'm just trying to find my place" were not harsh, yet they carried implications of judgment or detachment. For someone who had endured profound loss and abuse, such remarks could feel significant. They were signals that the emotional alignment she sought, the kind that assures safety, consistency, and support, might not be fully present. The reported proposal incident may have crystallized the situation. Common allegedly intended to propose, demonstrating the depth of his initial commitment, yet Jennifer quietly declined. She did not dramatize her decision, did not seek headlines, nor did she allow the rejection to become a spectacle. Instead, she chose reflection over reaction. Her hesitation can be interpreted not as a lack of love, but as a deep awareness of what she truly needed from a partnership. After surviving tragedy and navigating emotionally complex relationships, she had come to understand that love without security, consistency, and mutual respect was insufficient. Accepting a ring or a public declaration of commitment without these essential elements would have compromised her hard-won peace. As months passed, their public appearances together ceased. Red carpets, interviews, and casual outings, all of the subtle signs of intimacy vanished. The world noticed, of course, because in celebrity culture, absence is never invisible. Fans speculated, media outlets theorized, and whispers began to circulate about the reasons behind the quiet distance. Yet, Jennifer maintained her characteristic discretion. She did not comment, post cryptic messages, or offer explanations. In doing so, she preserved her dignity and allowed the story to remain her own, untarnished by external pressure or sensationalism. Meanwhile, Common's pattern of withdrawal appeared consistent with previous relationships. For him, the intensity of initial connection may have been genuine, but the demands of deeper emotional commitment often proved challenging. Observers speculated whether he struggled with insecurity or a diminishing sense of relevance as Jennifer's career continued to soar. She was thriving, her talk show was successful, her music career unassailable, her acting accolades undeniable. As she rose, the balance in the relationship shifted subtly. Where he had once occupied the central spotlight, she now dominated professionally and publicly. Some sources suggest that this shift may have triggered insecurities, highlighting the contrast between a partner who grows and a partner who remains stagnant. Ultimately, their separation was quiet but deliberate. There was no social media feud, no dramatic press conference, no emotional public confrontation. The love story ended through absence, through the gradual withdrawal of shared moments, and through a mutual, unspoken understanding that the relationship was no longer sustainable. For Jennifer, the decision was guided by experience, intuition, and self-respect. She had survived far more devastating heartbreaks and personal tragedies than this, and she was unwilling to compromise her peace for the sake of appearances or societal expectations. The story of Jennifer Hudson and Common, therefore, is not simply one of heartbreak. It is a profound lesson in emotional intelligence, resilience, and the courage to prioritize one's well-being. It reminds us that love is not only about passion, chemistry, or public displays of commitment. True love requires alignment of values, mutual respect, consistent effort, and a foundation of safety. And sometimes, even when two people are drawn together by deep connection, love cannot survive without these essential elements. In choosing to step back, Jennifer demonstrated that strength lies not just in endurance, but in the wisdom to leave before self-damage occurs. She protected herself, not out of fear of the partner, but out of respect for her own life, boundaries, and well-being. In a world that often celebrates romantic persistence over self-preservation, her actions underscore the rare courage it takes to leave quietly, gracefully, and unapologetically.